Hello everybody and welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is another little labyrinth, and I thought today we would look at this beautiful move that Barry did in his class today. So a lot of you know this, maybe everybody knows this, but Barry does a beautiful Zoom class every Saturday. It's just $10 to attend, and you can find out about that at barryharris.com. So today he did something that sounded like this. That's a 2-5, and then just moving down. You could keep going. And he put it in a tune, and we'll talk about that. He did it in Bonnie and Soul, so we'll look at that. But first off, let's get our mind around what's happening there. So it is a 2 and a 5, and it's a minor 7th. A minor 7 is where we're starting. So A minor 7. And then to D, one of the things that we do on D. So here is A minor 7, otherwise known as C major 6. Let's do drop 2 on the top strings. Okay, but we're going to not have the 3rd string in there, so it's going to be a 3-note chord instead, like this. So I'm skipping, I'm not playing the 3rd string. Be, but instead just like that. The reason why is because that enables me to sustain the middle voice while moving only the lowest and highest notes of this 3-note chord. Like that. Isn't that pretty? Those are the diminished notes, but I'm still. So instead of going to there, I'm here, okay? Same thing there. So the 3-note chord lets me do that more easily and just keep a note sustaining. Now, we're going to go to this thing that is very octatonic based. So this may motivate people who haven't gotten around to it to looking at the octatonic episode that I did, where I talk about borrowing and relative motion, all that stuff in the octatonic scale. And the idea of the octatonic scale is, okay, so we're going to go to D7. And if you followed the transformation ideas, we are on C major 6 with the 5th in the bass. That means if I go to a tritone sound or to just the dominant 7th, I'm going to go to the 3rd in the bass, because I'm going to do the interscalar transposition of, instead of 5th in the bass, 3rd in the bass, as I move to the minor 6 for the tritone sound. So here's the 5th. The 5th is high, so I go down 1 fret, and I can make a. So I could go like, and then not a good result. So that would be tritones minor, but instead of that, I could just go, and then I could go just D7 or diminished. And this is what we're going to look at, is the diminished option. So the diminished is with D sharp or E flat. Now this diminished, of course, in the octatonic episode, we explain how, I'm talking about how each note of the diminished chord can be lowered a half step to express a dominant 7th chord. So if I take F sharp and lower it, that's F7. C and lower it, that's B7. D. A flat. So that's the family of dominants. And if I take those 4 roots and put them together, I have the octatonic scale. So it's not really that meaningful to call it a half whole or a whole half, but it is meaningful to call it a diminished scale or an octatonic scale, I think. So contrary motion, borrowing, so you know, all of these, or combining, or taking the elevator to borrow from the neighbors. You can review that. I think it's episode 4, maybe 4. So that's what I'm doing there. But what Barry does is he gets this kind of sound. He has this top note of our drop 2 could go down a half step or a whole step up to borrow. And what if you take both? And then I've got the diminished notes here, and then maybe D natural, or I could do E flat if I've got really flexible fingers, which is difficult. I think that's what Barry might have done. But it's a beautiful sound, but it's just octatonic based. You could look at it like, if we look at this, this is the 3rd of D, this is the 7th of D, this is D, this is the flat 5, and that's the 13. But it's more meaningful just to see it as this world of available color, I think, and to see how we got it. So you could resolve it in a variety of ways if you wanted to. Right, so I just went up a diminished from there. Or I went through the tritone. You know, that kind of sound. There's lots of options. But you could just go like that. So let's look at it, put it all together. You got C major 6. So, and then another C major 6, and then beautiful sound. And then we'll do the same thing, B flat major 6. Same thing, A flat major 6. And I could do that off of any scale degree in the major 6. It doesn't have to be off of starting here. You know, I could have been anywhere. I could go up. So, right, and then I would go, maybe. So that's pretty. So it's like, let's see. Sorry. And then I go, and then that's pretty. So those are options. So Barry did it in Body and Soul, and this is how he did it there. So it starts out in E flat minor 7, B flat, and then E flat minor 7 again, which is G flat major 6. The beginning of Body and Soul. Sorry. You could do it. This is E flat minor 7 again. You could go. So, and then. So, one more time. I'll try that. No. And then you're gonna go. That's on E flat minor 6 because it's C after minor 7. Ideas of Body and Soul. So again, at the beginning it goes. Why is this tricky? Yeah. So that's the idea. It's a beautiful movement, well worth exploring. And so to sum it up, it is moving down the major 6 diminished scale for your 2, using 3 notes so that you can have that sustained sound in the middle, which is super nice. And then you end up doing a move of smooth voice leading. See? That is just octatonic sounds. And it was interesting because there was some chat about it of people kind of trying to figure out what that sound was, and there were some different ideas because you can look at things from different angles, but I think it works really well just to see it as an octatonic, which it is. and but sounds live in different spaces. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just another little labyrinth looking at these details, and but it does connect to transforming, because we went from a fifth in the bass to a third in the bass, seeing that smooth voice leading, and connects to the octatonic. Yeah, so it's a, and also in Body and Soul, at that part where we go, I did, so this is B flat minor 7, and then it goes G, this is E flat minor 7, and then A flat 7, and then D flat major, but the melody is like so I'm just thinking, so this is the sound. So what we were talking about transforming on the dominant 7th in the last episode, kind of like moving through those different things, kind of lives in this melody. I got A flat 7, and those notes, you know, it's just fun to look at what you can do with those notes. This is up to the 9th melodically, and then a sharp 5, so that is, remember when we, so it's all there, right? That motion is there. You could go, so you could go, I mean, stretching it out a lot, but so, you know, it's stretching it out a bit, but it's just seeing how that works. And I just I went up and I plays that. I see this as a whole tone kind of sound, chromatic motion, you know, something just to explore there. Anyway, that'll be it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and more to come. Keep on practicing, and I'll talk to you soon.